Electrocast.
Cars say a lot about who we are.
It represents freedom for a lot of people.
This season on Drive, I'm going to talk to all sorts of different people.
I looked at car names.
Yes.
And
yes.
I found all the car names that have science or astronomically
it's
inspired.
Crazy.
It's huge.
It is. Yes, I happen to be CEO of Ford Motor Company. For me, it's all about cars, movement, and our mutual passion for things that get us around. This is Drive, and I'm Jim Farley.
Hey there. Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Western demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up, and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley Spaghetti.
And today we're talking a movie from 1992, available on Amazon Prime, A League of Their Own.
1992, dude.
1992, dude.
So look, it's give or take, Geena Davis's character Dottie is about 23, let's say, in A League of Their Own. And the Baseball Hall, so she's playing during the war, and the Baseball Hall of Fame opens up in 1988, as depicted in the film, of the Women's Baseball League, that exhibit. And so she would have been about 68. Guess how old Geena Davis is right now?
68?
Yeah.
Whoa, math.
I mean, I wasn't a kid exactly when I saw this movie. I was about 16, 17 when this movie was released. And when Lynn Cartwright, who plays the older Dottie, has her scenes, I was like, how did they do that? Because it's so obviously not Geena Davis with big face, stiff prosthetic makeup.
Wait.
Like, didn't you think the older Dottie was remarkably similar?
Yes. Was it not Geena Davis?
It wasn't. Lynn Cartwright, an older actress who was about age appropriate, but dubbed with Geena Davis's voice.
Oh, wild.
So she did the ADR after the fact, matching her lips to Lynn Cartwright's performance, which it still blows my mind because it's obviously Dottie's voice. We've heard Geena Davis the whole film, and to look uncannily like her was distracting.
Wow. And I assumed that Geena Davis was the only one who appeared as her older self because it was necessary, because Geena Davis is so distinct as a person. Right. Also, because we know her character so intimately. But wow.
By contrast, the lady who played Kit, the older lady, they didn't dub Lori Petty's voice, so it's just a different actress. And Doris, the woman who played Doris, was an actual AAPL player.
Nice. Yeah. So the actor who played old Doris was an actual AAPL player, but not Doris Murphy.
Correct. I would not Rosie O'Donnell.
And not Rosie O'Donnell in prosthetics. Were there any of the actual Rockford Peaches in the final scene?
I'm not sure about the actual peaches, but I imagine there were, because they died. They died. They got older. To have been an adult in World War II means you have to be really old by this point. And so some of the notables, not mentioned in the film, but some of the notable heavyweights in the league at that time died as recently as February this year, and last year, 2021 in July. I know there was a major player, kind of Dottie Hinson level that passed away.
So is this is the Dottie and Kit story, is it a fictional story?
It is. The Dottie character is based on a big-time player for the girls' league during the war, but she was a pitcher.
So basically a fictional narrative with a factual backdrop.
Right. And they went to pretty great lengths to make it, historically accurate. Indeed, they couldn't have a diverse cast because people of color weren't allowed in the league, even though national baseball had been desegregated already. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
So they put in that scene where they hit a ball and the black lady picks it up and chucks it really hard and they're like impressed. And
Yeah.
I guess that little moment was a nod to that historical authenticity that people still mention, to this day, or talk to the filmmaker for years and years, talk to the filmmakers and say, and bring up that scene. How many times have you seen this movie? Have you seen? Please tell me you've seen this movie.
I've definitely seen A League of Their Own. It's been a minute. It was surprising to me how many of these moments, how many of the sounds and cadences I knew.
Yeah.
So I must have seen this a number of times, like back in the 90s.
I saw it a bunch, partially because this is one of Gary Garcia, our friend Gary Garcia's favorite movies. And so I always thought that was weird because Gary had an extensive collection of VHS movies. And I say had because Gary Garcia is definitely still around, but his VHSs probably are not.
So this is one of Gary's favorite movies. Interesting. It's a feel-good movie. I think the tone is largely set by the big band score or background tracks.
Yeah, the music plays a big part. There's a full orchestral score that's very wide. They're very big and sweeping. Apparently, Hans Zimmer, who did the score, didn't know anything about baseball. And that may account for it's like, not nostalgia kind of old-timey baseball. Anything related to baseball tropes, it was just a big movie score.
Is this a baseball movie? Is this like a Moneyball type movie where baseball's not the point?
I do feel like baseball is the point. The players, they're all determined by how well they can play. They're only the best, and we play a lot of baseball. It doesn't come it comes down to the sisterly rivalry, of course, but all in the guise of baseball. It just so happens that they're playing on different teams. I don't think that baseball is secondary at all in this movie. It's constantly there. I mean, it's the focal point of their entire existence as being propped up by Ira. That's his whole focus is just like, you got to be playing, you got to be great, you got to bring in the crowds. Otherwise, it's all going to fall to pieces. So I think everything is in service to keeping this league in play, literally.
Ira Lowenstein, played by the amazing David Strathairn.
Yeah.
He succeeded in keeping the league afloat. Like, apparently they went on for many seasons.
In real life, yeah. And then it came to an end when they nationally televised Major Baseball League games.
At that point, women's baseball wasn't suitable for television?
Well, they wouldn't flock to the little outfields and stuff, to the stadium. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, ballparks.
People went to see them locally because they couldn't access baseball otherwise. And when national games in the big cities were televised to the sticks, they can watch it and didn't care as much about women's baseball.
Gotcha. Do you know for how long Ira Lowenstein succeeded in running the league?
I'm not sure that was a real character. It could have been. I just don't know. Like Walter Harvey and Harvey bars weren't a thing as far as I'm aware. So I'm not really sure. I just know that it lasted for, probably 10 years.
I mean, I only thought about it because in the Hall of Fame scenes, the old Dottie scenes, they're like, oh, she only played one season.
Yeah. And he said, you should do it. You kept it alive, the league alive all those years, which speaks to something. Right.
Yeah. The one ball player steps up in defense of Ira Lowenstein. And then even Ernie Capadino makes a reappearance in the Hall of Fame scene.
With this, and only because he's so old, only because he poses with a cigar in the same John Lovitz pose.
2 questions about Ernie Capadino. What is Ashtabula?
I have no idea. This movie is pretty worlds away from my existence.
I looked it up because I was like, that's got to have some significance, right? Apparently, John Lovitz has availed himself of any responsibility for both the no skin off my Ashtabula and the pickle tickle lines, saying, quote, they were just in the script. But apparently there really isn't. It's just a word play.
Just sounds vaguely like ass and just extended to make it family friendly, so to speak.
I think so. I mean, the only real existence of an Ashtabula is a city in Ohio. So yeah, it's probably just some down-homey expression, or maybe someone made it up, to your point, just to be PG-13. No, PG.
Yeah, PG. I mean, John Lovitz undoubtedly steals the first 30 minutes of the movie and then just completely disappears. Like, okay, I'm going to let everybody else have their stage.
Not only does he disappear, but he says, don't worry, I'll be back, and then doesn't come back.
He showed up with his cigar 50 years later or something. But
right.
He had longer lines and a lot of crude things. They kept all the most awkward, rudest, crudest things that he said and made it into this fantastic supercut of a, crotchety scout type guy. But and made it pretty neat and tight, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Can John Lovitz play like a constant focal point in a movie for 2 hours? I'm not sure, but in this tight little role where he kind of comes up, does his set, steals the show, and then walks off is maybe his strongest suit.
Yeah, he might be a little strident to like maintain for 2+ hours.
Right.
But his cameos here are pretty memorable, and his character, his kind of despicable but lovable character, is very in line with the other men in this story, aka Tom Hanks.
Yeah, his character just morphs and evolves into the Jimmy Dugan character.
Right. Which, interesting role for America's Dad.
Yeah, well, so Tom Hanks, it was widely regarded at the time as Tom Hanks's fat movie, which seems so absurd because he's like, I got fat. I ate nonstop, and the local Dairy Queen was my go-to, and I gained 30 pounds for this role. And I'm like, I can see it nowhere. I mean, I guess for Forrest Gump, he was slimmer than this and much slimmer in Philadelphia for different reasons. But compared to the chunk he packed on 9 years later for Castaway, he was heavier than the Tom Hanks we knew. But I do remember thinking, this is it. This is Tom Hanks getting old. He's now chunkier, and he looks haggard and is all unshaven. And it was weird. And now he looks really young. Looking back, of course, we're looking at this movie 30 years later.
Crazy town. He does look young. I did feel like he was a little tubby compared to his Forrest Gump role and compared to the second role he plays in Castaway, the super skinny Tom Hanks. But he feels appropriately Jimmy Dugan, kind of, an athlete who's really let himself go. And he has this, he really carries the Jimmy Dugan character in his body with his limp and the cartilageless knee. And, also athletes, I feel like, are always just kind of broken.
Yeah, when
once
not
they're
on the
older.
field, they pull it together and perform when they have to, and then they limp off and like get all drunk.
Yeah, well, and also like all the years of like testing your body, and basically I'm thinking like all football players, all tennis players, they're just like completely broken by their 30s and 40s.
Yeah, I think the rigors of being a pro athlete are not conducive to long-term health as amazing performers as they are during their career.
Right. I think Tom Hanks really successfully embodies that. And it's such a weird role. Like, why is Jimmy Dugan lovable? He's like yelling at everybody, and the spittle is flying, and the chewing tobacco is flying.
And doesn't he smack people? He smacks Mrs. Ketchup or whatever on the butt, and he makes out with her.
Yes.
Right. And we're still at a time where that kind of role undoubtedly was accurate. I mean, I'm guaranteed that happened. Tom Hanks joked in the 90s that it was every guy's fantasy that all his teammates would be, quote, chicks. Like today, imagine in a movie or a show, like grabbing the surly coach guy, grabbing the lady and like smooching her and stuff. And didn't you say there's like save a piece of that action for me or something crazy?
Yeah.
It retains not only a 90s charm, but also a period authentic 40s charm, I suppose.
I guess. I can't. It feels like he's channeling some kind of weird Donald Trump grab him in the beep mentality.
But he's definitely trading on or relying on our goodwill for good guy Tom Hanks.
It's just so ironic that it doesn't wear thin. Yeah, he harasses Mrs. Cuthbert, and he also, at the very top of the movie, talks about how women aren't ball players. They're the people you sleep with after the ball game.
Right. In his drunken tirade.
Which was not lost on me. And then he also does that super inappropriate prayer about the waitress who yelled, "God, God." What?
I mean,
anyway,
look,
he's obviously not the focus of this film, even though he does get top billing.
He does, and doesn't appear until after John Lovitz makes his exit. So at least 30 minutes into the movie before he appears. So what this is the bad person who is made funny or whatever, but I can't get away from this comparison to there were some troubling things going on, and the worst that we've got is Bob gets shot in the leg and Betty Spaghetti's husband doesn't make it home, right? And she cries. And it's like, oh, the war, but we don't see any of the stuff, any of the horror. The mere idea of grown-ups being in a movie that's rated PG-13, I have contempt for.
Why? Because somehow it's just there's a veneer you can't get past.
Yeah, you could have done some things. PG, really? It's like by accident you didn't make a movie for adults? I guess the reason it has parental guidance suggested in the first place is because all of those like bruises and that crazy sliding bruise that they cover up, all that was real. People got hurt. Why was it even PG? They were smoking cigars.
There was definitely smoking. There was smoking of cigarettes as well.
And smooching and salacious dancing.
There was some salacious dancing. There was talk of bosoms flying out of uniforms.
Right.
They're really mean to Marla Hooch.
Marla
Does that qualify?
Hooch. What a hitter.
Yeah, why are they so mean to Marla Hooch?
She's ugly.
Yeah, but is that funny?
No, it's not funny, as evidenced by the fact that both Dottie and Kit they're like, no, in solidarity, they put their suitcases down and they refuse to budge.
Right.
But this played up the positive and negative attributes of pretty much everyone. I mean, they weren't caricatures, but definitely when he says, Big Dottie Henson striding to the plate, I was always like, Geena Davis? Really? But she is tall and she's statuesque and gigantic compared to pretty much everyone else. And she shot from low angles and stuff. And
well, apparently good enough for 22 to have those fans.
22 for Doris.
Yeah, she had her admirers who would shower her with gifts.
Right.
It was sweet.
So apparently Tom Hanks said that he was encouraged to eat as much as he wanted, as much as he could at the Dairy Queen. And by contrast, Rosie O'Donnell, Penny Marshall asked her to eat as little as possible.
Really?
Yep, that's what she said anyway. As much as this cast is not diverse ethnically, I guess there's a wide assortment of different looking women.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Ewan McGregor stars as Count Alexander Rostov in A Gentleman in Moscow, the new limited series based on the best-selling novel. Stream it on March 29th with the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan. Visit ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Marla Hooch.
You also get Miss Alabama or whomever. So Rosie O'Donnell also making an appearance in A League of Their Own 2022.
I guess so. That's what I heard.
Which, have you seen it?
Nope.
Do you know anything about it?
I'm hearing way gayer, all the gay, all the time.
If it's true, if the new League of Our Own is true, the majority of the women were, or that a lot of the women were either in relationship with each other or women outside of the league, then it's a kind of a big oversight for A League of Their Own 1992.
At the same time, I also understand there are lots of players of different ethnicities that aren't necessarily accurate. I'm not sure.
Like kind of rewriting history?
Right. The cast is much more ethnically diverse now, right?
Right. And I don't know like how historically accurate that is. So, but Rosie O'Donnell and Madonna make an interesting comedy duo.
Yeah, and apparently Rosie O'Donnell was hesitant and nervous about meeting Madonna, and now they're besties. Rosie O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. Madonna seems like she's besties with everybody.
Nope.
Like, isn't everyone stoked to be besties with Madonna? Yeah, nope. Madonna's besties with Gwynnie.
Who the hell's Gwynnie?
Excuse me. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Madonna is?
I think so.
Here's the way it goes. This is strange. Deborah Winger, for reasons she's never really fully disclosed, was cast as Dottie, and then Madonna signed on, and she was like, and she noped out of there. Deborah Winger said no because she felt that Madonna was going to turn this into, it was like a cash grab or it was a casting stunt to get more eyes on the picture, a la Keanu Reeves in Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola needed a dude that the women would swoon over, so he cast Keanu Reeves, who maybe wasn't right for that part. Anyway, Deborah Winger considered that stunt casting and dropped out as a result, and in her defense says, well, I mean, look at where Madonna's acting career is today. Was I wrong? But they were shooting in rural Indiana, a bunch of towns, and Madonna hated it. And she's like, I'm dusty all the time and I have no makeup on and it's horrible. And I made a few friends, but they're, athletes. They're not actors. And I wish I was in New York and the people suck. And apparently in a little town in Indiana where they filmed, her behavior is still legendary. And that town embraced not liking Madonna.
So Madonna didn't make any friends and had a horrible time and made everyone miserable because of it?
Yeah. And she was relegated from third base person to outfielder because she couldn't field balls. In stark contrast to Rosie O'Donnell and newcomer Lori Petty, who between the two of them were the best ball players in the cast.
In real life.
Yeah. And Lori Petty, going back to her, did, I think, a great job. She's very emotional. She's very emotive and strong and fast. And I think she plays this role really well. Had to have her hair dyed blonde. She originally was cast to match Deborah Winger and then needed to look more like Geena Davis. And I guess when Geena Davis come on board, you dye Lori Petty's hair to match hers.
Well, Geena Davis is so distinctive. That makes sense. And they feel like sisters. And like you were saying, in terms of like athletic white chicks, right? They're all distinct in their looks.
Yeah. And she came in after Deborah Winger left and only had a few weeks to prep and was like outplaying most of the people by the time camera started rolling. Geena Davis, a near Olympian, albeit for archery.
No kidding. Geena Davis, man, full of surprises. She really is the genuine article, isn't she?
Yeah. And then she marries the most boring dude ever in this movie. Could Bob be
Bill
any
Pullman?
more like timid and weird?
Aw, Bill Pullman's so sweet and handsome.
Yeah, you can't see him like yelling though and running and getting shot in the leg by a sniper and junk. I forgot how beautiful you are. Let's go home.
Well, what can you say? He's the dairy manager.
Yeah.
Someday he'll be superintendent. Or no, he's the dairy assistant manager, dude. Bob ain't going further than dairy manager. Which is fine, and that's the thing. Like, Dottie's got all this talent and wants to lead the simple life.
Yep.
Can you begrudge her that?
Originally scripted, Jimmy and Dottie we're gonna get it on. They were gonna have a thing, and then they dropped that.
Really? Yeah, because they kind of have their thing.
I mean, the follow through is as loose as the executives also wanted Dottie to help Jimmy with his drinking, so they compromised by giving him a Coke.
Right. Which, not exactly the way you treat alcoholism, but it's a start.
Yeah, because Coke is awesome.
Little kindness, little I care about you gesture.
Right.
Can go a long way. They had their thing, and I thought that even though it was a very simple gesture, it was a major turning point when Jimmy offers Dottie the chewing tobacco. Like, that is the turning point in the movie where Jimmy starts to connect and Dottie and Jimmy start their kind of kinship.
Yep. And when they can be comfortable with each other because of everything they've been through, but on a more personal level. And she's like, you look like shit. Don't you ever shave? And he's like, we're going to win. And then later, afterwards, after they lose, and they're saying goodbye to everyone, he's got a little piece of tissue on his face, which shows that he actually shaved.
Right. That was a good little detail. The way that he reads signs is hilarious. Like, her mocking him was like a good omen. And also, he took such incredible joy out of hitting Stillwell Angel in the face with the mitt.
Got him!
Like, he was just elated. So 2 questions about Dottie. Actually, one about Geena Davis and one about Dottie. Can Geena Davis do the splits?
Yes, she can, but she cannot slide into the splits. She can assume that position. So she was in splits position when they did the close-up, but when she slid into it, stunt double.
Man, so many layers to the onion that is Geena Davis.
How did I know that you were going to hit me with the splits question? God, I'm good.
You got to be prepared. I'm coming at you from all angles.
I'm prepared.
I'm the one that's jabbing you from all directions. I'm the little sister from Nope.
Yep. And from A League of Their Own. All drama, kind of a pain in the ass, a little bit shrill.
Come on. Drama.
What else? What do you
Give
got?
Me a break. Dottie lets go of the ball. It's not even a question. Let's just be real.
Yep. I mean, she has the dead hand in the frame. She's not scrambling for it or anything, but I have to believe that was the case. I mean, she nailed her a good one, but you would think that all of Dottie's focus and energy would have been in keeping the ball clutched. Tuck it into yourself or whatever, grab it with both hands against your chest when you're getting like shouldered by your sister and it's all dramatic and stuff. But to lose the ball, at least the way that it was framed, seemed deliberate.
So doesn't it lessen Kit Keller's win, at least from our perspective?
I mean, you can see the smile or whatever, and no one's like, what the hell was that? But it's such a satisfying win. I mean, the stands erupt and Kit's all hopping around all crazy and getting embraced by her teammates. And you can see Jimmy's devastated, but Dottie's happy and smiling. And no one blames Dottie. It was the best possible outcome, I think, and really, really satisfying for the Kit character for being cast with a, pretty much an unknown. In Lori Petty, I think it works really well.
I don't know.
But also, she can be like, it would never be questioned. She would never be like, you dropped that ball because you knew that that's what I needed or whatever.
Why? Because it was such a hard hit?
It was just for us.
Because it was played out?
Yeah. Maybe Dottie did it, but it would never be admitted to Kit.
Somehow makes it a touch less satisfying for me because Dottie was a true player and she gives the pitcher the instruction to do the high fastballs, knowing that it's going to throw Kit and stuff. Like she's playing for her team and she's playing for keeps, and that's good sportsmanship. What was necessary was for Kit to come into her own and out of the shadow of her big sister, right?
Yep.
And so as soon as she was traded to Racine, she could have had a whole other arc, right? This is like her moment. She's proving herself. She's performing on that team. She's respected by her peers. She's seen as an individual. We missed that whole third act opportunity. We go straight to the World Series. Dottie's back, and it would have been more satisfying had Kit truly, truly earned the win.
It wasn't called Racine, a team of their own. This is about Rockford.
And so it was important for Rockford to lose?
Yeah.
It was important for Jimmy Dugan not to get his bonus?
Yeah.
For Dottie Hinson not to get her crown title for the one season that she played?
It was all about sisterhood and bonding and a real experience, and not all sugar-coated for you. This is a hard, wartime, in the dirt, scrabbling for glory tale.
As indicated in the final shot being a photo of the two sisters.
Yeah.
Aw. So you're saying this is a sibling movie. That's so sweet.
Oh, it's so sweet. Even though she's like, is Aunt Kit going to be there? And when they reunite at the Baseball Hall of Fame thing, it's as though they haven't seen each other since the first, maybe that's not the case. But it was almost like, I haven't seen you since we played baseball together when we were 20.
That last parting moment in the stadium,
right,
where she buys the pennant and they all leave all tearfully.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, are you coming home for Christmas?" And she's like, "No."
I kind of like it here.
See, she found her own.
Big city, Chicago.
So that's what you got to do. As a sibling, it's important that what you do is you give them just enough lines so that they can go and explore on their own while still having this illusion of the tether and the security, and then you cut them loose without their knowing it. And then younger siblings go off and try to flourish in the big bad world.
Mm-hmm.
Make them think, see, you can do it on your own without the training wheels. And it's always, it's a responsibility to make it feel like you're self-sufficient.
I'm giving you the placating that I give to Bean and Bun.
Yeah, your taste in music and movies is your own, sure.
Whatever. Nice try. Okay, last Dottie Hinson question, and then let's wrap it up. Does she really catch the ball, or is that special effects? Visual effects.
With the hand?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the smack was added in post. But it wouldn't be that hard. You chuck it from a correct trajectory or even from a machine. She probably could have caught it. It might have hurt a little bit, but undoubtedly I think she caught the ball. She caught a ball for that shot.
Both do. The Keller sisters got the no-look hand-catch thing down.
Yeah? But apparently it's not instinctual, because Kit at one point, according to Dottie, throws a rosin bag in her face, which apparently she didn't catch, and tells her to get her fat ass off the couch or something.
Wait, what? When's this?
She says, wasn't it you who threw a rosin bag in my face and told me to get my fat ass off the couch?
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're going to chalk it up to on the field, it's all athleticism, and then off the field, they're just broken down athletes.
Okay, so you mentioned that this is one of Gary Garcia's favorite movies.
Yep.
Is it one of yours?
I like A League of Their Own a lot for the same reason I like The Help. I like its accessibility. I think the characters are great. This is my favorite Thelma and Louise in retrospect, but this is my other favorite Geena Davis movie where I think she is best cast. She's perfect for this role in this movie. I can't imagine Deborah Winger or anybody else doing it. I think that all the cameos and all the small roles were really well cast. I don't know or care about Madonna's efficacy or her worth in the movie as, compared to the star power of her casting. It's quotable, it's fun, it's easy to dip in and out of. I've seen the movie several times since 1992, and I really, really like it. I just can't confirm or allow for its historical authenticity or representation or failure in that respect or whatever. Don't really care. A League of Their Own, as it stands, for a movie, I think is a really, really good movie that has a great ensemble cast, has nice arcs for everybody, and doesn't have to be 12 Years a Slave, historically accurate or brutal,
And your official rating is?
It's interesting because all things considered, as just a movie-going experience for what Mom would call a woman's movie, it doesn't really have any sore thumb flaws that I can see. Is it a little bit light and surfacey? Sure. Is it period authentic? There are lots of historical inaccuracies in terms of, they didn't have Jimmy Dugan's pitching machine until 1951 and all this stuff. Don't care. For an immersive experience, especially for my age in the early 90s, I liked this movie a lot and would give it a totally, I guess. For a more refined, more experienced moviegoer now, I don't know. But for what it is, I think this is a really solid movie. Probably my favorite Penny Marshall movie. Let's go with a totally reviewed.
A little bit of a surprise, I think, for a baseball movie, for some family fare, for a 90s movie, and for a movie with relatively little bite. I'll go with a good. And that's our discussion on A League of Their Own from 1992, available on Amazon Prime Video. A totally from Wes, a good from Iris. Let us know what you think. 818-835-0473. That's our hotline. Or whatevermovies@gmail.com. You can email us. Or you can follow us on social media and hit us up there at or whatever movies on Instagram and Twitter. We hope you enjoyed these bridge episodes between Nicolas Cage month and the upcoming awards season. Some fan favorites, some classics. We also have Halloween coming up. So a lot of exciting things on Or Whatever Movies. Check us out, orwhatevermovies.com, or wherever you get podcasts. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Today is working for me. Do you believe that for yourself? Hey, I'm Pastor Julie, and I want to empower you through encouragement. Inviting you to my podcast, Big Truth Encouragement, where I unpack living a faith-filled life. I created my podcast for the ladies, but gentlemen, you'll gain something too. So I invite you to listen to Big Truth Encouragement on Electricast and any platform where you listen to your podcast.
Electricast.
Hi, I'm Lessa Gadet, host of Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I speak with women from all over the world about what they do and how they are passionately pursuing their dreams and creating meaningful impacts on their communities. So come join us and learn about all there is to learn about these extraordinary women.
Electricast.